Sequoia.
Sequoia. Okay. Those aren't redwoods, or those are?
I think they're sequoias.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I'm not a tree expert. There we go.
Neither am I, but
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. My guest today is an artist and producer. I recently discovered him probably about a year ago. I'm thinking that's when a lot of other people discovered him as well, when he was on Macklemore's song Next Year. He also has a song with them called Maniac. His debut album, When the Redwoods Meet the Sea, if I'm correct.
where the redwoods meet the sea.
Fuck. Close. Very
Yeah.
close. That comes out on October 12th. So whenever you're watching this, make sure to check that out. It's my pleasure to introduce Windsor.
Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. Sorry for misspelling your album title.
It's okay. It's a mouthful, but I think for this one, it's a phrase my father used to use to describe where I'm from. So it just had to be the name of the EP.
Yeah,
So
your press release was almost written like a story. Like, it was very, I got the imagery there. Quickly tell the audience where you're from and where you stay currently.
So I'm from Santa Cruz, California, and I'm currently based in LA. I've been here for 6 years. Before that, I lived in New York, and I made this EP record about my youth growing up in Santa Cruz. So Santa Cruz is like this sleepy, spooky beach town, like an hour south of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a beautiful place to grow up. There a lot of formative experiences happened there for me that led me on this path. And I never opened up about those times in song before. So this project that I started, Windsor, my solo project, it was all about going back to my roots and telling authentic stories of my life. So I felt like I would begin this journey chronologically, and yeah, so we made this EP.
Hell yeah, makes sense to me. A word that stuck out to me though, you said Santa Cruz is spooky.
Mm-hmm.
How is it spooky?
Well, it kind of I don't know if you've seen like The Lost Boys.
Okay.
That horror movie.
I have not actually.
So it was shot in Santa Cruz. It's a great '90s classic. It's got Kiefer Sutherland and Corey Feldman stars in that movie. But it's just kind of this little bubble of a place, and at night it's a little spooky because the fog rolls in from the ocean and into the redwoods.
Oh, spooky. So I think I have been to Santa Cruz. That's where the redwood forest is? Like the sequoia? One of them? Oh, so there's multiple. Wait, there's multiple redwood forests?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. Okay, where's the one where you like drive through it with a car? You know, like that huge tree.
Oh, that's Sequoia.
Sequoia. Okay, those aren't redwoods, or those are?
I think they're sequoias.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I'm not a tree expert. There we go.
Neither am I. But,
There we go. So Santa Cruz is the place where they have like I'm guessing I've been, whether the sequoias are near Santa Cruz or not, I feel like I've been to Santa Cruz at least once. But when I think of Santa Cruz, isn't that like the place where they have like the t-shirts, the Santa Cruz t-shirts with like the hand?
The banana slug.
Yes. There we go.
Oh yeah, and the hand too. It's like an iconic skateboard image.
Yeah, are you skateboarding?
Face on a hand. Yeah, well, like growing up, there were surfers and skaters, and surf culture there is sort of like territorial, and I didn't vibe with that so much. And skaters were like into punk rock, so I gravitated towards that group of people.
Makes sense. So you, from the press release at least, it seems like you started out in in bands, and now Windsor. This is your first time being a solo artist.
Hmm.
So what was like the first few bands like? Were they very like punk rock?
My high school band was a punk rock band.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was like in your face, garage, punk. We played house shows and like DIY spaces.
Hmm.
And then my next band, we were more of an alternative rock band. Um, we were called Mainland, and that had a little moment. And I kind of, at the end of that, was ready to try something new. Um, so here we are.
Interesting. So do you feel like your audience has carried over from those bands, or do you think was I
Yeah, yeah. I think
okay?
some people have actually from Mainland, from my last band. Yeah,
And
there's
so
been some. They've stuck around.
what were the like? What was the what times like? How long was that band active, basically?
That band was active for about 8 years.
Oh shit! Wait, how old are you?
I'm 31.
No way. Are you serious?
Hmm.
Holy shit! You look like you're like 22. You look like you're like my age. Wow.
Well, I value self care, but yeah, I've been doing this for a while.
Wow. It's like I just watched Stranger Things for the first time. Like I binged all seasons that are out, and like the I forget his name. There's so many characters I forget their names, which sucks because I really like the show. But Joe Carey, he's like the guy who's supposed to be like the stud in the group. He has like the wavy hair. And he's supposed to be like 18, but he's like 30, and I was like, wow, he looks like he's like he could be 18. So I guess self care is a
It's all a mindset. Age is just a mindset.
yeah, very true. So your high school band, is that your first band that you were ever part of? Is like that how you got your start in music?
Yeah, we were really loud.
Mm.
We were loud and super like angsty, just your classic teenage garage. Played in a Our old rehearsal space was this upstairs of an electric company warehouse.
Mm.
So our drummer's dad owned an electric company, and he had this little room, and we would rehearse there.
Dang. Were you always
So
like
it
the
was
main
pretty,
singer or?
yeah. That band, I started with a friend who encouraged me to be a singer. I've spent my whole childhood like learning how to play guitar, and my goal was to be Jimi Hendrix. That was the goal,
Mm.
um, to be able to play like that. So I spent all like probably the from 8 to 18 or 8 to 15 rather, learning guitar and trying to master that. And then I made this friend who was like, "Oh, your voice is different. You should just be a singer." I was
Mm.
like, "No, no, 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 no. I don't know anything about singing. I am not a singer." But then he was like, "Well, I'm not going to sing in this band." So I became a singer out of necessity.
Interesting. That's pretty cool. There's this one band that I just had on from the UK called Coco Roco. They're like a Afro pop jazz fusion type band, and one of their biggest things is that they don't have a lead singer, and it's interesting to think about like when you think of a band, you do think of a lead singer versus just instrumentalists.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's important to have someone, you know.
Yeah.
So that band, I was the singer, and then I just worked at it, like I, I, uh, I took vocal lessons early on
Mm.
because I wasn't part of like sometimes you hear stories about people talking about being singers or being in choirs or you know they learn how to sing in that regard or but I didn't have that. I kind of came from the underground DIY space where good singers were not like often like
Mm.
there were a lot of untrained amateur singers. So I spent a lot of years just honing my craft and my instrument because voice is an instrument. So
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time working on it. I've had a couple vocal coaches, and now I have one in LA, and she looked at me and she diagnosed my problems. She's like, you do this thing with your jaw and you gotta back straight and there you go. Because like I would go out on tour with my second band and we would just play every night, like 150 shows a year, and you're like an athlete. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just go up there and wing it every night, or you're gonna blow your. I would blow my voice out for years. So I just learned stamina basically
Right.
and proper technique so that I could tour.
No, that makes a lot of sense to me. Would you say vocal training's kind of like a necessity if you're an artist?
If you're touring,
Interesting. Yeah, that
I think you
makes
can kind of get away with like being raw and untrained if you're just putting out stuff. And but if you're touring seriously, I think I recommend it.
right. And how does it work for like a vocal like are vocal coaches also artists sometimes? Or like would it be a thing where you'd want like Mariah Carey to like teach you how to sing, or would you not care if it's like just like your high school
You
coach who
don't.
never
They don't need to be rock stars.
interesting.
But you know, the people that have been vocal coaching for a long time, they are kind of badass.
Yeah, I bet.
They my vocal coach Valerie, she's a total badass.
Shout out Valerie.
Shout out Valerie Morehouse. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So with this Mainland band, it's a good rhyme right there. Um, with Mainland, did you guys ever get signed to like a record deal or anything? And
hmm Yeah,
so,
we were signed.
ooh, how
We
did that
just
come about?
we were just like a local band for 5 years, and then we made an EP with Jim Eno, the drummer of Spoon, in Austin, and we put that out independently, and then it got some buzz, and we signed to a label and toured for like 5 years, and then it wasn't making me happy anymore, so I just stopped.
Wow.
But yeah, we had a moment with a label, and they put out our songs, and it was a good learning experience for me.
What did you not like about the experience?
Um, I think that I think the chemistry and flow of making the music, there were too many cooks in the kitchen at
Right.
that point. And I was just young and I just didn't really know any better. My parents, they'd never signed a record deal before.
Mm,
So I kind of failed. I learned by failing and in making mistakes and but yeah, I think with the and it's probably why I decided to go solo too, because I felt like the more people I added into the mix of the sacred creative process,
mm-hmm.
the further I got from my authentic, truest self.
Right.
So I think our label at the time and my management, they were like always searching for like who was what producer was popping off or, whatever. And I already had production chops.
Mm-hmm.
And in retrospect, the songs that I produced and wrote the most on my own were our most successful. And yet they didn't put stock in that. So like I knew that going forward with this project that I wanted to produce more of it, write all of it, you know, cut out the unnecessary need for like multiple collaborators when I could just do it myself. Like it was like just putting stock in my own talents.
Right. I actually hear that a lot from. I've had quite a few artists who have been on bands and then they realize they prefer being solo artists. So maybe it takes. I guess it's always learning experience, but maybe sometimes it takes a certain type of person to want to be in a band full time.
Right, or the band members are equally contributing,
Right.
right? Like there's always the case where there's two band members in a band that really like contribute a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like yin and yang, and that's awesome, but it's rare, and I didn't necessarily have that.
Right. It's like
Um,
a school project where like two people are doing all the work, and then,
yeah,
and then everyone else
yeah.
is like, we're
Or one person is doing all the work in that school project, and they're like, "Oh, you're just taking credit
Yeah.
for my hard work.
Yeah, I get that. That's seriously why I'm like a solo podcaster and don't have like, that's why I'm not the Breakfast Club, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so kind of two back to back questions. First, how old were you when you first got signed? And now as a solo artist, I'm guessing, do you tour with a band at least though?
Yeah, I have musicians I bring out on the road with me. They're great. They're all um, seasoned touring veterans. Um, but yeah, the first time I got signed was like to a major label, I was 24 years old.
Mm. Do you think that was a good time to be signed then? I feel like that's a few years under your belt. Or you still
Yeah,
feel
no,
like,
I think it was a good time. I don't think we signed to I don't think the label was the right label, but
right.
um, now I've been independent for a while, and I just know what I need in a partner. So like we've talked to some labels this year, and I think we're finally finding a home
Nice.
soon. So I yeah, I think it's important. Like if you're getting approached by labels as an artist, you know, write down what you need
Hmm.
and make sure that they check all those boxes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess there's like, you don't have to be signed to like Warner to have a good deal too. There's some cool like independent labels that get the job done too. It just really
You don't need
depends.
to sign to Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I was signed to Warner
There we
Brothers.
go.
You know,
Yeah.
my last band was signed to like a small label underneath Warner, and you don't need Warner Brothers.
Damn. Yeah. So
No,
how long into making,
Warner Brothers needs you is what I should say. Warner Brothers needs you,
damn it.
right?
I feel
To stay
like,
relevant.
yes, that's what most artists are saying that have had experience on labels. They start to like realize their work. That's why you're starting to see like a lot of artists starting to go independent or just focus on like distribution deals because they're starting to see the worth in themselves and that the record label needs you, but they make it seem like you need them. So that's a good point you made there.
They sell themselves super hard. It's cute. It's a cute little situation. I've talked to all of them this year. They it's a lot of them say the same
Mm-hmm.
things. But there's good people at record labels too. It's not all bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just have to have a moment in which a label can do something with it
Mm-hmm.
if you're signing to a major.
Right.
But if you don't have like a viral moment or something taking off in that way, then maybe don't sign to a major label. Like if you're like trying to develop and put out lots of records over the course of, you know, your prime as an artist, like if you want to grow over time and not be like an overnight thing, or a one song thing that's like a lightning in a bottle moment and you want to develop, then I think signing to an independent label is probably a better fit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all case by case too.
Yeah, but you're seeing that across like the entertainment industry as a whole, like even with like movies. This is specific, I guess, to comedians, but like for Netflix, for example, Netflix used to really censor. They still do if you don't talk to them and figure things out. But like it seems Netflix has a history of like censoring comedians when they do put out specials, but then like you're starting to see a lot of comedians either work with Netflix more and be like, no, we're not cutting this. This is what I said in my set. We're keeping it. Or they're just like, I'm just going to release it on like YouTube or do it independently. Or like Louis C.K. or Andrew Schultz most recently, they put it on their website and charge that way too. So it's cool that there's all these different options that have started to come out.
Yeah, it's pretty endless.
Yeah.
It kind of, I feel like we're in this place now where the art sort of dictates where it should go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So, when you were in Mainland, is that when you moved to LA or how'd you end up being in LA?
Yeah. I've been in LA since 2016.
Cool. That's dope. So when Mainland ended, did you take a little hiatus or were you still like writing or how did that work out?
Yeah, so Mainland ended 2019.
Okay.
Um, it was just like it was time.
Mm.
Um, and it's all good, still friends with them. It's just it was just time to do something new.
Mm.
Um, no hard feelings there. Uh, so 2019, I was like, well, what should I do now? Like, I think I need a break from being like the face of whatever music I'm a part of. So I took some time and I just wrote songs for other people
Mm.
and produced for other people. And I got some songs placed with like different artists. I did like a song for someone on American Idol and some independent bands, and it was really fun. I did a song for like a electronic artist thing, and so it was really cool. And I was like, well, I guess I'm a songwriter now.
Mm.
And I went around and wrote with different people in studios and just like did that, and was not interested in being an artist again. But then the pandemic, all that like changed because there was no like sessions happening.
Right.
So I went up to Northern California, brought all this gear you see around me up there, and set up a studio up there in this house in the woods, and started making this EP that I'm about to put out.
Hell yeah.
So
That's an interesting, because I feel like I know quite a few artists who do songwriting to make money, and then as they're songwriting, they're releasing their own music as well, and hoping that their solo music starts to pop off. But it's interesting to hear your perspective, where you were more focused on being a songwriter and less as an artist for a little bit.
yeah, I mean, I think I just shifted at that, like during 2019. I just shifted because I'd come off so many years of touring and being an artist and
Mm-hmm.
doing that. So I just wanted to put all my focus on songwriting during that point because people had encouraged me to write for other people, and I'd done it, and I'd collaborated in my old band, and it was really fun. Like I got to try on a bunch of different hats,
Mm-hmm.
but I kind of just am always I just focus on what's working
Right.
always, and when my artist stuff started to take off, I've just been focusing on not been co-writing as much
Yeah.
for other people, but I'm always down,
Yeah.
So
So it seems like, well, obviously with the Macklemore thing, you have ties to Seattle, and then you said you were inspired by Jimi Hendrix. So before we get into Macklemore at all, when was the first time like Seattle's music, like crossed your mind?
um, well, when I was 7 years old, my dad showed me this tape of like Hendrix playing, and it just changed how I viewed music. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta learn how to play guitar like that. I want to learn how to shred,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So that was kind of an early Seattle tie. But then I just loved like all the Pacific Northwest indie rock stuff that I heard in high school,
Right.
like Modest Mouse and Built to Spill and Death Cab for Cutie. Even I was just really into that stuff as a teenager. So yeah, the music that comes out of Seattle is really different, I think it has to do with the environment.
Mm-hmm.
I think environment is it's important, because you put yourself in a different environment, you have a different outlook, perspective on life and how to tell stories. So yeah, Seattle's music scene is really great.
Hell yeah. So when you were in Mainland, did you ever tour to Seattle, or like when's your
We
first time?
played the Crocodile
Ooh.
one time. We only went to Seattle once, but I hope that with this one, because of, the Macklemore collabs I've done, I hope I can come up there more often.
Yeah.
And do my own shows too, because people have been hitting me up like, when are you going to play Seattle? And I really like to.
Yeah.
I've gotten to know it really well because we shot both videos in Seattle, so I've spent some time up there, and My brother lives up there, so it's uh it's a nice place to go. I have my spots dialed.
Hmm. That's cool. The new they when was it, last year? I think last year they tore down the old crocodile and they put a new crocodile there. I think, where is it on? I think it's on Pine. I could be wrong, but the new crocodile is sick. It has like three different venues in it in a hotel. It's like a
Oh,
nice bar.
cool.
It's really cool. Um,
Sick.
so how did now let's talk about this Macklemore thing. How did that come to be?
So my mentor is this guy Sam Hollander, who's a songwriter,
Hmm.
um, and we collaborated a little bit in my last band. We wrote some songs together, and he was basically the first person I met when I came to LA. And he's written for some really great artists, and occasionally he would hire me to sing melodies for him. Like he's not a singer; he's actually a rapper,
Mm.
or was a rapper uh, in a earlier chapter of his life. So Sam and I were really close, and Sam got Sam got sent some productions to write over, and he wrote the hook for next year and hired me to sing on it. And some of those productions were Ryan Lewis productions,
Hmm.
and the Sam was like, "Okay, here's this melody, sing it. Um, here's like, just get this back to me by the end of the week." And it was like a folder of melodies, of choruses, basically. And so one of those was next year, and he was like, "Produce it, make it sound cool." And I was like, "Okay." So I just distorted the hell out of it and made it lo-fi and vibey and recorded it in my house in
Hmm.
Echo Park. And then it got sent to Ryan, and Ryan was like, "This is dope," and shared it with Macklemore. And Macklemore was like, "Yeah, but like, who's the singer on it? Can we keep him on the hook?" And so then I got a call. I was actually writing with this artist from South Africa, and and they were like, "Hey, like, we want you to be on the new Macklemore song." And I was like, "Sick, okay."
Oh
And
wow.
then 3 months of just promoting that, and it was just such a whirlwind, and it was so rad, and everyone in his community is really, really warm and just open arms, like the whole journey. And it was surreal, and yeah, it was just a great vibe. And then in the middle of promoting next year, I said to Ryan, I was like, "Hey, we should write a song for me."
Hmm.
I'm like working on an album, and um, we got together in between, like we did Jimmy Fallon and did next year on Jimmy Fallon, and after that, I was like, we should do a song for me. So we got together at his studio, and we wrote Maniac. Like it was a full Windsor song,
Hmm.
before it became what it is now. So we sat on it for a while. It In the context of what I was releasing, it didn't fit really. It was kind of just like a standalone. And so Ryan sent it to Macklemore again, and Macklemore called me and was like, "Hey, can we have the song, and I'll would you like to be on it with me?"
Dang. Were you happy about that, or were you like, fuck, he took my song?
No, no, no. It was, it made more sense. It's like this is what's crazy about songwriting and making music is sometimes it didn't make sense for me to put that melody and song out on its own. Like it was definitely meant to be a chorus hook, and then like his verses really completed it. It was incomplete before he had added his verses on it. It
Interesting.
was like 70% a song, and then he made it what it is now. So I was honored that he even asked. It's like
Mm.
he's
That's a good point. I do feel like that's something that maybe came from experience, though. I feel like some people would have been salty about that, though. So that's,
no, I was stoked because
yeah,
I
that's cool.
I I didn't know I didn't know when I was gonna put it out.
Right. That's a good point. So was Macklemore? That's cool that you met Ryan Lewis and then Macklemore. That's that's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't even meet Macklemore until our song was like done.
Wow. So
I
is
was like, oh, we're on this journey now. Like we have a song together, and it's out, and yeah, it was cool. It was a it was a whirlwind, and then after next year came out, I put out this song "Memory" of mine, and that because I mean, I didn't have any expectations for it, but then because um, of the performances with him and all the excitement, putting that song "Memory" out, it ended up like charting and like having a moment.
yeah, it took off.
Um,
It took off for sure. That's super cool.
yeah, so
Was was
it was,
Ryan Lewis? That was a weird slur right there. Ryan Lewis. I said Lewis. Ryan Lewis and Macklemore. Were those the first two artists in Seattle that you've collaborated with?
um, yeah,
Oh wow, that's a crazy introduction to the music scene. What the heck?
yeah, but it was an introduction and it also wasn't because I've been doing this for a while.
Right.
So, but stuff like that just happens by accident all the time,
Wow.
you know?
It's when whatever they say, preparation meets opportunity, or whatever they say. You know that saying.
Whatever they say, I mean, yeah, just, it was wild
Dang.
because when I started it, I just like making songs for my friends. I just wanted to make cool stuff. So I didn't think much about it. And then, to have an artist like him come around and be like, I like your voice.
Hmm.
So like, can you be on like two of my songs?
Right.
So I didn't expect my trajectory to go that direction. That's
Right.
what I'm saying.
Some artists that I know that have been on the podcast and that I just know that have worked with Malcolmore, it tended to be when they were younger, and now they have this platform that was kind of given to them through working with Macklemore, and now these next few years has been them trying to build their own name and
Hmm.
um, appreciate that Macklemore was there for their support. But like sometimes, like for example, like even like a Drake, if like Drake co-signs you, it's you have to figure out a way to kind of be like, hey, I'm still my own artist. So with you and Macklemore, because you've had um, probably a decade plus of making music and being in the music industry, do you think it's easier for you to be like, this is just a collaboration versus maybe even being like overshadowed by the fact that it was like a Macklemore collab?
Well, the music I make is not hip hop,
Mm.
so I never really sweat it.
Mm-hmm.
I was already just like making the songs I was making. So if anything, it's just like it's cool. I got to make something with another artist that I respect. You know, I'm not sweating like any overshadowing or anything because no matter what, I'm just gonna put out the music I want to put out at
Yeah.
the end of the day. And I try not to like worry about that stuff because then it's just like it's just a rabbit hole, and you know, you just like I just get obsessed with like the process of making things, and I don't sweat that stuff because at the end of the day, like um, I'm kind of just I'm in my lane, and he makes
Yeah.
hip hop, and it's like it's honestly two different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything, it's just a win because I get to bring his fans into my world
Yeah.
and vice versa. You know, he's been around like in the public eye a lot longer than I have, but you know, I'm helping him too
Mm-hmm.
by bringing you know alternative indie rock music fans into his universe too. So I don't know. I'm not stressed. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, yeah, that makes sense. You seem like a cool dude, you know? Um, let's briefly talk about your album, and then we'll end with some final advice to the listeners. Um,
Sweet.
what is your goal with this album?
with Where the Redwoods Meet the Sea, I just want to make a statement that encapsulates the last 2 years of my life making this music. Um, I kind of just want to make a footprint and a mark on, I don't know, on the people that are fans of mine, the listeners, and just establish a sound.
Yeah.
That's my goal. And to authentically translate these things that have happened to me in my life into like songs and for people to connect with them in their own ways.
Are you nervous about that at all for like the fans to like see how you put that together?
Nah,
Hell yeah.
I'm proud of it. It's a solid piece of music. It's my best music I've made, so I'm just excited for people to hear it.
Hell yeah. What is your favorite song on the project, and what do you think the audience's favorite songs going to be on the project?
I think the audience's favorite song is probably going to be Memory
Mhm.
because it's the one that's been out the longest, and it's the most up tempo song,
Mhm.
and melodically I think it's one of the catchiest. My favorite is the song "Drift Away," which is it's an homage to my dad. Um, that one's just cool for me to put out because it's really just acoustic guitar and vocals and lots of vocal layers, and it's not like a typical song structure. It's kind of linear and it just grows, and it was a fun experiment to make that song. So Drift Away is my favorite.
Hell yeah. What is the easiest way for people to reach you?
Um, Windsor at Windsor with an ER, on Instagram, and then I'm Windsor Official on TikTok, Windsor Music on Facebook, Windsor Music on Twitter.
Oh, wait, quickly, how did you get your name Windsor? Because that's not your government name.
It's the street I grew up on.
Oh, there we go. Quick, easy answer. What is some final advice that you have for up and coming artists, creators, and influencers?
Ooh, just in general, just like advice for what
Yeah, I guess if people want to be in this industry,
in music.
yes, or entertainment, I guess, because I kind of don't know. The more I interview people, the more I just feel like movies and comedy and music kind of all just blend.
I think just make stuff that's unapologetically you, and share it and tell everyone you know about it, and don't sweat the small stuff.
There we go.
Just put it out there.
Wherever.
Make it you. Don't worry about what's trending because the moment that you try to chase trends, you're already too late. So you might as well just do something that's authentically you and write those things down, or go on a vision quest and explore yourself a little bit. But don't worry about what's popular. Just be yourself and make things that in 10 years you'll be proud of and put them out, and um, and ask for help.
Collaboration and help and support. Very important. You've been a dope guest. Hopefully, whenever you're in Seattle, we can do one in person. And
Yeah, man. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll be back there soon. It's just we're figuring out tour plans for next year.
Ooh, that's
This
exciting.
year is already up. This year is
Yeah. Dang.
it's gone. It's over pretty much. But
Yeah.
yeah, check out my EP. Comes out October 12th, I believe.
Yes, sir. Cool. This is the NAST podcast with,
Windsor.
and we did it.